Hi there, everybody. We're at Midland, Texas. I want to do a video for you today, compiling all the people in the attic stories that I've got. I've made a couple videos before. One of them called "Call 911." Somebody's in the attic. Another one called Midland, Odessa, Tunnels and Attics, and then some separate individual videos. But what I did is I went through my computer, searched it for all my print screens and videos and everything that where other people told me stories of people in the attic, because the crimes going on at my home are much bigger than just this home. Okay, because you're going to see here in a minute. Since I was shot in my home, I've documented many other homeowners across Midland, Odessa, reporting somebody in the attic, and then but also in Texas, and then you're going to see many other different states where people contacted me and said, hey, this is going on. I believe it's connected to a common human trafficking, sex trafficking crime ring, murder for profit crime ring, etc. But you know, there's still unknowns. Okay, and what happened here at my home, and I'm gonna make this real quick. 10 years ago, I transferred into Midland with a big gas company, oil company, and I bought a home. Previous young homeowner dies, and now I found evidence. I believe they murdered him in this house, took him to Fort Worth. That's another story, Michael Lahan. I was told about a young girl being murdered at an oil show party in 2010. My friend was there. I have reason to believe that happened in the underground facility that multiple people have said was near this house that's connected to these crimes, and so I think that's also connected. And then I reported my first call to the police for a burglary in November 2010. Not somebody in the attic, tunnels, nothing. I just noticed somebody's in my house. A couple months later, I made my second call for a burglary. That time I heard somebody in the attic. I was 100% sure about it. And of course, immediately they start labeling you as crazy or whatever. And you know, at the time I was a 27-year company man, you know, homeowner, and you know, I mean, the crimes were actually really going on. You know, a year later, I'm ambushed and shot inside my home with burglar alarms going off in the attic. And the reason I had put burglar alarms in there is because I was trying to prove that this is going on, you know. But as I said a minute ago, now what we're going to see here, and we're going to go to the computer, and I'm going to show you that people all over the place are reporting these same crimes. And so I think you'll find this real interesting. Hold on. You can probably see my desktop there on my computer, and I've got a lot of files set up to show you. So some of them I'll try to speed through as fast as I can, but it's going to take a little bit to go through it because of the huge number. And but others maybe you can later come through here and look closer. Okay, this is the police report from January 8, 2011. That was my first call for reporting somebody in the attic of my home. And these were the police officers that were in my home. And then I don't think it shows it here, but there's more to this police report where they wrote possible 1096. That was my very first, it was actually my second call for a burglary, and they were already setting me up, labeling me as 1096, which was crazy, and I was reporting crime or felony at my house. Okay, so then a year later, January 28, 2012, this is at 11:27 at the emergency room. It's the nurse's notes. And I had called out at 10:42. And the reason I had called out is because my phone lines were cut before they shot me. You know, they literally tried to kill me in my house. And I believe they did kill the guy before me. And the nurse documents me saying, the alarms kept going off. These alarms were burglar alarms in my attic. I had, you know, a year after I had reported somebody in my attic, I'm shot, ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic. And so, of course, there's more here. You know, Detective Rodriguez was in the room at the time, and there's a lot more to the story on the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life. Okay. Moving on this documentation, here's December 9, 2012, and what I did is I spent over $1,000, had Vivint install a security system in my attic. That's a third-party national system. Now, one thing here, you want to see this where it says paranoid schizophrenic, Buddy Webb. That's a lie made up by one of the corrupt police that was involved covering up the capital attempted murder on my life. April Chandler was her name, and I was never diagnosed with that disease. You know, that was done solely for the purpose of covering up a premeditated capital attempted murder, and so hopefully someday she will be held accountable for that lie. But anyways, the thing is Vivint figures out, you know, their sensors go off. Somebody's in my attic. They call the police to my house, and this is real interesting. Is you can see here they changed the alarm to a warrant. They were going to arrest me, and then something caused them to change it back to an alarm. And probably because it wasn't Buddy that called them, it was Vivint called them. Now I want you to imagine that. You know, here I am, a homeowner, crime victim, you know, 28-year company man, now disabled, living under a death threat, people breaking into my house, and they're going to arrest me when the Vivint security system calls them out because somebody's breaking into my house. Okay. And interestingly, Michael Chandler was on that call. That's the husband of April Chandler. She's the one that made up that lie about the paranoid schizophrenic, you know. And so that police report was withheld for many years. I just got it this year, but here's a second Vivint call on the 19th, December 19th, 2019. Once again, attic alarm. Now keep in mind, this is you know, their system that said, hey, somebody's in the attic, and they dispatched the police to my house. This was an interesting one because this time Chad Simpson was on the call and Steve Bracken. And Chad Simpson was the secret police that was seen inside my house that ended up murdering his wife. So one of the secret police went on to murder his wife and kill himself, and he was here on this call for the Vivint call, and I don't think that was an accident. Okay, and so here's another slanderous, libelous remark, you know, and this is what happens to the crime victims that report crime to these corrupt police right here. I fully believe that they know.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
this is cool.
It was an alarm, and I believe it to be a valid alarm because I get a lot of valid alarms. It's just the problem is that the police have been over here more than a couple times, and they won't look. And so, you know, I don't see any big reason to call them, and that's kind of where we're at. So I just acknowledge the alarm, and then I document it, and then we just put it back in service.
Okay, and so that was I recorded a phone call for Vivint, recognized somebody in my attic, and that time I didn't let them dispatch the police to my home. But the other two, I showed you the police report. This is also interesting. I found a Lego toy laying on top of my HVAC filter that fits up there into the attic side. Of course, there's a flexible tube on the other side that you can tell when you're up there that's been taken off many times. And so this is one clue that children or there were some young people that were involved in breaking this home, getting in the attic, and that's one of the reasons that I suspected was connected with child sex trafficking and the secluded truck and loading lane behind my house. Okay, and here's another little video. This is a burglar alarm going off with somebody in my home.
You see anywhere?
Yeah, it's right there. That was just
a burglar alarm going off, and I got Jordan here with me. See, I want to show you. We've been working on these, and we're both down here in the regular part of the house, and it looks like we got a real live burglar up here in the attic, and them don't go off just to go off. That's a person.
Okay, and so that time, our friend was here, Jordan, and the burglar alarm went off, I think, twice that day while he's here. But they've gone off while the plumbers were here. And one time, the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force was in my house, and burglar alarm goes off in the attic. Now, that's some police officers that were here. I think that was in January 2013. And so multiple times, other people have been in the house when these burglars set these alarms off. Okay, now we're going to move on to other calls in Midland. Okay, and these are not at my home. Okay, this is
300 Hickory. The complainant saying she can hear someone up in the attic. She smells cigarette smoke. She took her family. They're going to be waiting out front.
okay. So 300 Hickory. Here's another one. 3309 Haynes. Okay, and I actually called and went by there and left a message, talked to this lady. It was an older lady, and that's one thing I noticed before. It seems that they pick certain people out to rig homes, and maybe even older people so they could. In her attic. Okay.
This is the.
That's 3322 Providence, and I think once again when I googled that name, that was an older person, and it's possibly they're doing that so they can discredit them, and they can call them crazy, and they can allow these crimes to happen.
Story about you work for Gandhi, right? Your name's Jesse.
Yes.
Okay, Jesse, and you were saying that you went into an attic.
Yes, like a year and a half ago, I went to some customer attic, right? Because I was installing, and then I noticed that there's feces, but not any animal feces. They're big feces, and I kind of knew it was. I thought it was humans, and so I called a customer to check it out because it's stank too, and there was a older couple. They popped their head up and they're like, they're not rats or anything. I was like, nah, they're human feces. So you probably have somebody living in the attic or something.
And once again, you hear him say they were older people, and he actually said that was about 3 blocks from my house. That happened just a few months ago, and asked him if I could record that. Okay. This is an email I sent to myself on April 17, 2013. Actually, not to myself, but it was to a whole bunch of newspapers and just a whole bunch of different people. And once again, April 2013. But the documentation's here. While listening to the police scanner here in Midland, Texas, now I'm the one writing, I heard the dispatcher tell an officer that a call had come in from a resident who was saying that their neighbor was hearing noises in the attic, and they were concerned because the neighbor had guns. I believe that it could be found, the police report and the address and the name for this home could be found, and that's another home. All we have to do is search the records for that date, April 17th, or it's probably on the 16th, or at least April 2013. But I've got it documented. I heard it on the police scanner. Okay. Here's another one. Megan Hooper. Okay. She's telling me broke into her parents' attic a few times over the course of the year before they moved out. I believe that was in Midland. Okay. Here's another one. Kara Johnson. I just moved from Midland. Had called Midland County. I could hear people under my porch. That wasn't exactly the attic, but I believe most of these houses, the people that are getting the attic, they're rigging the home. They're coming from underground up a modified wall. Okay, here's another one I didn't get recorded. It was before I was recording them, and because it was in 2013. Remember, I'm shot in 2012. And the address on this one was at 4619 Story is the late Harold Klotz. Okay, and I'm writing myself on email at 5 o'clock. I heard this call on the police scanner. Once again, there should be a police report showing where Mr. Klotz. Well, I went over here and I spoke to him, and I talked to him, visited with him, and he was telling me how the next door neighbor had a whole bunch of traffic, and there was a doctor that lived there, and he had moved out for a few years, let some family members live in that house. And when he moved back, that's when he noticed somebody was living in the attic. Once again, it was an older man, and once again, they were calling him crazy. They were discrediting him. Mr. Klotz is no longer alive anymore today. That home got sold. This is from Midland County Appraisal District. That was the new owner was there. And then you can see right after Mr. Klotz sold the home in 2014, July 2014, it was bought by James David Pine, and he sold it in June 2016. What I found interesting is he owns Pine and Beckett Realtor, and my realtor that found me my home works at Pine and Beckett. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. I wondered if he knew that home was one of the rigged homes. I believe it is one of the many homes in the area that's rigged. Okay, this is a private message I got on Facebook. This guy was asked to be stay anonymous, but it happened at his mom's house. It was on San Antonio. I don't have the exact address on it. It was north of the loop, and close by Home Depot. Would actually hear people and footsteps in the attic. Okay, and so there's another one. I hope you're seeing the pattern. just recently, my roofer, okay, this is Three Kings Roofing. He comes by and he tells me that they just did a roof and it was Monty Gist. Okay, once again, it's an older couple, and one thing this Monty and his wife wanted them to do was go up in their attic. So they actually went up in their attic because they believed somebody was getting in their attic. I drove by that house today and knocked on the door. I was going to visit with them and they wasn't there, but you know, I'm fully convinced that that's another rigged home like mine and like all these other homes. And I even looked up the past ownership of them, and you know, I saw some things I thought was suspect on the deed history of that home. Okay, let's move on to Odessa. Okay, 20 miles away.
316 Geneva. 316 Geneva. Caller stating that he heard someone in the attic.
I can pick up the police scanner, or used to anyway. Pretty much they're blocking all the police scanner calls from Midland, Odessa. And you know what it is. It's the lack of transparency. It's because, you know, people like me and other citizens are recording them, holding them accountable.
610 Jeter, cross streets are Rose and Honeysuckle.
Tuesday, birthday.
625. Looking at the 2010, complaint's going to be a 7-year-old male. Stated he can hear yelling and biting. His mother's in the attic. He can hear her being assaulted.
All right, there's 610 Jeter over there in Odessa. Mother in attic getting assaulted.
Address on Springdale. OPG 728, guys.
Yeah, we've been in the area for a bit and I've not seen any outside activity so far.
10-4, we're believing he may be a little 1096.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
1096 is crazy or mental subject, and that seems to be the modus operandi for what they label the crime victims. Okay, you know, like myself and all these others we're crime victims. We have felonies committed against us, people breaking our home. They're stealing from us because they're stealing heating, cooling, electricity, gas, etc. They're threatening your life. You know, they tried to kill me. Okay, here's one that I kept anonymous, and just recently I posted her name, and she told me about hearing people in the attic. She also said that they were drugging her. Okay, the people breaking her house. I believe this is Brooke Houston, and I just saw a missing person report that she is now missing. Okay, out of Odessa, and that's the reason I went ahead and posted her name. Back in right about the time I shot, you know, I had reason to believe I was being drugged. And while I slept, knocked out, whatever, and I was seeing these big round blue bruises on the tops of my thighs, and I believe they were injection site bruises, and I was being actually knocked out, and which is another story. And but I have a video on that. I think, you know, of course, the ex-wife carried needles in her purse, and she was a nurse. Okay, here's another one that I write myself emails sometime. I heard this on the scanner. The date is important because we can go look that up by the date. In May of 2013, on the scanner this morning, I heard a call on the homeowner that their front door opened and their attic door was open, and this was at 3805 Melody Lane, Odessa. Okay, so there's another address of another most likely rigged home. Okay. Here's the next message, and this person uses, you know, a anonymous name, Chili Pepper. I used to hear people in the attic, you know, and this living south of Odessa. Okay, and there's more there. You can go read that. You know, I'm trying to hurry. Let's see what this one is. I think that's the one I just did. Okay, now let's go. These are the ones that are not Midland, Odessa. This is one I saw. Somebody said, hey, this was on Andrews, Texas. That's about 40 miles away. Somebody posted to an Andrews Facebook group. And, you know, this MJ Guzman says, I'm freaking scared. I've been hearing movement in my attic all night. And I understand, you know, and she has reason to be scared. Remember, I was ambushed and shot by a year after reporting somebody in my attic. Okay. Yeah, people breaking your home, it's very, very dangerous. Okay. And, here, I wish to remain anonymous. Belmead, Texas, right outside of Waco. I would hear people walking around in my attic. Lubbock, Texas. Okay. Okay, we lived in Lubbock for a year. Here's the date. And it always sounded like someone was running around in our attic. Okay, and I've had other people in Lubbock contact me, and I don't think I have their print screen. Okay, this is Debbie Collier's son. That's Michael, and I've got a couple print screens from him. And it happened in my mom's house in Hermley. The sad part, Mom told me not to say anything because people would say we're crazy. I got news for everyone. This is real, and we can't get help from anyone. Okay, and now you see, because of the defamation of character, because they're destroying the lives of the crime victims with these lies, and to cover up these crimes so they can steal and kill. Okay, and this is Michael here, and he says, I almost shot someone in my attic. He stopped himself, and I know I can kind of relate to that. I set off tear gas in my attic, and I actually stopped doing that because I felt like I figured out how to get them. I could get them with that tear gas, but I don't want to kill anybody. I want law enforcement to arrest them, And then later I find a toy up there, and I'm thinking, it might have been kids up there. It's the police need to do something here. This is right off the newspaper, okay? And I just got a print screen of that, and 3 people were hiding in the attic, dropped out and killed the homeowner, shot the homeowner. And there's many more stories in the news that I didn't get here. Okay, most of these are personal stories. People contact me. Angie here. My kids swore all of last year someone's in our attic. Heard voices and noticed sounds too, and I'm not a drinker on drugs, pills, whatever. Okay. Here's another video, and this one happened in 2012. Carlsbad, New Mexico is 70 miles from my hometown, and it's a couple hours here from Midland. It's in this area in the same oil field.
Carlsbad woman is facing charges after police say she burned down her home to get rid of someone who she claimed was in the attic. Valerie Hernandez has been charged with arson now. The Carlsbad Current Artist reporting Hernandez burned down her home in May. Hernandez has reportedly gone to police before the fire broke out, saying she thought someone was living in the attic and watching her. Hernandez reportedly said that the person in the attic had bugged her home to listen to her conversations, even though officers found no sign of anyone up there. Police also say that Hernandez...
Okay, and she ended up going to prison, and because she set that house on fire, and I believe they were terrorizing her, and and as I said, they are a threat. Okay, this is in Hobbs. Okay, this is my Hobbs home, and I have people, especially the criminals or the suspect criminals around here. They're going, yeah, buddy's crazy. He thinks somebody was in his Hobbs home too. Well, what the real deal is about what was going on in the Hobbs home was that in 2002, my daughter told me that there was a light on in the attic, and I hadn't been up there, and it wasn't on, so somebody had been up there. I thought it was this ex-wife, Cindy, and she died last year. But anyway, I thought it was Cindy, okay, and because I was going through a divorce, So, I never suspected all this other stuff with strangers breaking into homes and home being rigged, all that. I thought she's sneaking in my house. And then later, I actually caught her sneaking in my house, so I was sure it was Cindy. And not until I moved to Midland and all these other crimes and all these other people did I start to go back and question, I wonder if that Hobbs home was rigged. What if it wasn't Cindy that was in that attic? And I asked her on Facebook here just a year ago or so, and she comes back and says, I never got in a freaking attic, and that sounded just like Cindy. And I'm thinking, I bet that's right. I bet she didn't. And if I'm right there, that means this home is rigged. Okay, that Hobbs home was rigged. And I was told that I was chosen to buy this home in Midland, which told me the crime started before I moved to Midland. Okay, so there's the address and the picture, from Google Maps of the Hobbs home. And interesting, that home was built by my first in-laws, by the Callaways, who lived next door to it. And she ended up, a lot of people know that Ann Callaway, Tammy's mom, ends up marrying my dad after I was shot, and then I wasn't invited to the wedding, didn't even talk to my dad last 3 years or whatever, and it's possibly Ann Callaway knows something about these homes being rigged, maybe we want to ask her, Okay, here's another one. This is from out of state, not Texas, okay, I got a short version. This is Alabama.
Like I said, it's just they pulled the insulation out and they traveled through here. All this was done, but then here was my bedroom. And here was a place that was taken out of my bedroom that we found that was a hole in my ceiling to where I suppose they had a camera planted there. And then this right beside my bedroom, you could just drop down in here in between my walls.
Okay, and I've got another one I'm going to show you here in a minute that it is this one here. This is from Oregon. That was Alabama. And this is Phil, and he was an engineer. You know, this guy saying, hey, you know, I'm you know, he's a respectable person. You know, you can believe me, whatever. And, you know, it's very interesting. The breaking point for us was when our children began to report seeing other people in the rooms at night, and it had us really freaked out. Well, I would think so, especially now that we know they cut phone lines and shoot homeowners. And says, I quickly realized that there was a hollow space in the wall, at least 30 inches deep. Well, you know, that right there, that hidden space in the wall is what it looks like I was seeing in the Alabama home there. And and I think that's what's going on in my home and other homes, that they've rigged the home with hidden space. They come out from under the home and they come up a wall. Okay. And here's another one. This is Cindy Sugg. They got someone living in my daughter's attic now, North Carolina. Okay, North Carolina. And that's where I'm really actually, this one is in Arizona. Okay, this is John. My neighbors are still getting into my attic. Okay, he's upset. Okay. This one, Piper Perry, named Sherry. People coming in my home through a crawl space, I believe, under the stairs that lead into the attic in Tennessee. Okay, so that one's in Tennessee. Much bigger than just Buddy's house. Much bigger than just breaking my house, cutting my phone lines, and trying to kill me, and then using a dozen secret police for 6 years. Okay, here we go. Off the subject, Darby Adler. I'd rent a very large home in Colorado. Let's see what we got. We also had a man live in our attic. We moved to California after that. Okay, so there's Colorado. You know, somebody keeping track how many different states this is. A lot bigger than just Texas. Okay, we had an elderly lady that thought someone was in her attic. Brenda Reinold. I think somebody probably sent that one to me. And here's another one, and this was off the news. Man found living in Tennessee, family's attic, sneaking down at night to see minor daughter. That was just a recent news story. Okay, here's another one. Okay, this was Tracy. I can hear someone walking around in my attic again. I didn't even talk to her about it. I just took a print screen, seen it on Facebook. Selena, get out of my attic and stay out. Okay, she seems upset. I just took a print screen of somebody's Facebook post. Carla Harris here, okay? And I'm not sure. I think this is Abilene, but I'm not positive. I had people in the attic using the air turbines and access, and this was on an Air Force base. Okay, so I think this was over in Abilene at that Air Force base. And not positive about that. Okay, Katrina, I hear someone whistling in my attic above me. Okay, here's another one. Oh, that's Katrina. I hate it when I hear shit thumping around in the attic. Okay, and now I went to Texas and looked up. Here's the definition of burglary. A person commits offense if, without the effective consent of the owner, if they don't have permission, they enter a burglary habitation and commits or attempts to commit a felony, theft, or assault. Okay, and enter means to intrude any part of the body, any physical object connected to the body, such as the gun, the burglar's gun, where they shot me. Okay, and so the theft. Okay, here is Texas, theft of services. Okay, a person commits theft of service if with the intent to avoid payment for service that the actor knows provide only for compensation, shelter, light, and heating and cooling. See, the thing about an attic is that it's a hot place here in Texas in the summer. If you wasn't stealing your cooling from the homeowner, then it'd be too hot. And in the same thing in the wintertime, you steal the heat from the central heating system, and then it's real comfortable. It's a lot better than staying outside, and it's free, especially when rent's $2,000 a month. So you figure you got 10 homes, $2,000 a month. That's $20,000 a month that these human traffickers are making, and you do that times 100, that's $200,000 a month, whatever. But bottom line, it's theft, and if you catch them, try to stop them, they kill you. Okay, and then they're sadly using. We have some corrupt police that are using. I mean, it's not my word against their word. They got caught on camera. 6 years later, $2,000 a reward to get them identified. Okay, well, here I made a request to the City of Midland I was dealing with first a city attorney, Gates, okay, and I wanted a list of all 911 calls for the last 10 years with homeowners reports on the attic. Now remember, I got several myself, right? The Vivint called 2 times. I called, reported. I got the police report number, and I get the response back. And they tell me there is no records. All them other homes that I recorded off the police scanner, where the police were dispatched to homes reporting somebody in the attic. And when you contact the city and you say, I want a record of everybody who's reported something in the attic, they tell you there's 0. And as far as I'm concerned, that reeks of cover up. I complained on that to the district attorney and to the attorney general, and of course it went nowhere. And this, I've showed this before, just last year, July 10th, 2018, I sent an email, burglary, habitation, theft of services at 3802 Fair Circle, and I sent it to the chief of police in Midland, the mayor Morales, and the city council. I gave them the history of my first call for somebody in the attic, and then how a year later I was shot with somebody in the attic, and how I now had about 100 videos of burglar alarms going off in my attic. I've recorded this on my phone. I put links to 50 videos. You go to my YouTube channel under Buddy Webb and look up burglar alarms. You're going to find a burglar alarm after burglar alarm after burglar alarm after burglar alarm. You can hear them going off in my house, okay? And and people go, well, why don't you do something about it? I contacted the police over and over and over again, the law enforcement, Texas Rangers. Remember, these are armed and dangerous criminals. I'm disabled and defenseless. We must have law enforcement. It's much bigger than just me. And so I want everybody to see this, that it might be, they could be breaking your home. I was here 2 years before I figured it out, and then the next door neighbor, one time he said, last 4 people lived in your home, didn't live there long. Well, that told me it's been going on a long time, and I believe that other homes are rigged and people don't even know about it. This Buddy, Midland, Texas.